Hello, everyone. Is Professor Sadiq Noor. Today, I'm gonna go through chapter number 4, financial functions, data tables, and the amortization schedules. The objective for chapter number 4 is that you're gonna learn about how to assign name to a cell and refer the cell in a formula using the assigned name. Determine the monthly payment of a loan using the financial function PMT. Understanding the financial function. Also, you're going to learn about how to create data table to analyze the data in a worksheet, how to create the amortization schedule, how to control the color and thickness of outline and borders, how to add a pointer to the data table, how to analyze the worksheet data by changing values, how to use the range names and print section of a worksheet, how to set the print option, and how to protect and unprotect the cell in a worksheet, how to hide and unhide the worksheet and workbook. So the first thing in this chapter number 4 in Excel is that what is a data table? So in the early chapter, you have learned how to analyze the data by using Excel recalculation features and global seeking. This chapter introduces an additional what-if analysis tool called data table. You use the data table to automate the data analysis and organize the result returned by Excel. Another important loan analysis tool is an amortization schedule. Now, the thing is, what is amortization schedule? The amortization schedule shows the beginning and the ending balances of a loan and the amount of payment that is applied to the principal and interest during each payment period. So we're going to start with creating first the mortgage calculator, and then we're gonna create the data table, and then the last thing that we're gonna do is the amortization schedule. So first of all, we need to open Excel. As you see, so the first thing is we have to open Excel. We have to launch Excel. And then when you open Excel, the first thing that you see is what we call the welcome screen. And then I will go with the blank workbook. Excel consists of columns and rows. So now we're gonna start changing or applying a theme to the worksheet. Before we start anything, first we have to apply the theme to the worksheet. So to do that, we have to go to page layout. We have to go to themes. And then we need the integral. You see here it says integral. Click on it. Now the formation of your text, your color scheme, all will change according to the integral theme that you selected. So the next thing now is that we need to enter the section and row title and the system date. So in C3, I will zoom. In C3, we have to type the title of this is mortgage. As you see, my typing style changed according to the integral theme that we selected. Payment, calculator, and then press the enter key. Now what we want to do here is we have to merge the cell. So we have to select C3 all the way to F3, and then we have to go back to the home tab. In the ribbon, we have to go to the alignment, and then we have to go to merge and center. So just click it. As you see that it merged the cell to become one row and one column with the name C3. Look at the name box. It says C3 now. Next, we have to give it a style, the title style. So the style is under the ribbon and the group name styles. So you will click the down black arrow, and then we need the title. So click on the title style. Next, we need to we have to press the middle button to vertically center the text in a selected. So to do that, if you see the alignment group on the ribbon, and then you see now by default, it says bottom align. So we need middle, which is the middle button actually here. So click on it, and you will see that now your stuff will be in the middle, the title. Next, in C4, we're gonna type date, and then we have to go to D4. Now we have a function named now. This function is to display today's date, right? So to activate the function, you will start with equal now, and then you have to have the parentheses, and then push the enter key or press the enter key. As you see there, we get the date and the time of today. Next, what we want to do is we want to change the formation of the date and the time. So you need to do right click on D4. You will get the shortcut menu. Then I need you to go to format cell. It's gonna open the format cell dialog box. What we want to do next is that we need to click the date, and then under the category, we have to select date, and then we have to choose we all the way down. We have to scroll a little bit down. So the formation we want is, we have to scroll it. We want the last one all the way. You have to scroll all the way to the last one, 14 March 2012. So that's the one we need to select for the date format. Now click OK. As you see that the date changed according to what formation you have selected. Next, in C5, we're gonna call item. In E4, we're gonna say rate. Then in E5, we're gonna say term. In E6, we're gonna say monthly payment. We're gonna say in E7, total interest. And then we're gonna put in E8, total cost. We have to go to the other side. In C6, we're gonna put the price of the item. Price, down, payment, and then in C8, we're gonna say loan amount. Now we have to adjust the column width and the row height. So we need to select the column A, click the column A, and then we have to select column B, hold the shift key and select B. And then we have to drag it to the left until the screen tip indicate the width 0.92. So any one of the cell you selected, move your cursor until you see the black split arrow, hold it. Now is the width is 8.38 in my case. So you have to scroll it until we get in 0.92. Now you have to release your finger from the mouse. Next, now we have to go to column C, and then we have to stretch it to the right until it turns to 12. So now it's 8. So scroll, keep on moving, drag it to the right until you see 12 on the screen tooltip. Now D, we have to select D, E, and F. So hold the shift key. After you select D, hold the shift, select F. And then we wanna drag it to the right until it show us 16. So I can do it from the middle to the E. I can drag the E, I can drag the D. So I will move this and I will drag it to become 16. As you see, the screen tip is showing me the numbers and the pixels. So that is that. Next, we have to select the heading 1. This one here. And what we want to do next is that we have to shrink the row also to so row heading 1 and 2, we have to drag it until the screen tip indicate 9. So we have to hold the shift key, select 1 and 2, go to the bottom of 2, and now it's 14, so we have to change it to 9. Slowly. 9, which is 12 pixels. Next is we need to change the sheet tab name. As you see now, the sheet name in the bottom, sheet 1. So we have to give it a name. To name the sheet, you have to double click the sheet 1. As you see, is highlighted now, sheet 1 with a gray. Now you have to override by saying it's a mortgage space payment space calculator, and then press the enter key. Now we need to save our file, our workbook. As you see, it says in the top, book 1. So we have to give it a name. You will go to file, save. I will save it under the document, or I can go up, document, And we need to call this workbook as NCU space mortgage payment space calculator. Now we have to press the save after you indicate the location you want to save your workbook. I will hit save. If you look in the top in the green title bar, it says NCU mortgage payment calculator. Next is to create cell names. Now, the book says about the creating a cell name. Worksheets often has column title at the top of each column and the row title to the left of each row that describes the data within the worksheet. You can use this title within the formula when you want to refer to the related data by name. So a cell name often is created from a column and a row titles. You can also define descriptive names that are not column title or row title to represent your cells, ranges of cells, formulas, or constants. All right. Now to create the cell before entering the values. So what we need to do is we have to select D6, D6, all the way to D8, and then hold the control key and select F6 all the way to F8, the non-adjacent cell. Now we need to right click on it, any of the selected cell, right click. In the shortcut menu, click the format cells. You will get the format cell dialog box display on the screen. Next, we need to click currency from the category currency. And then we have to select the second formation, like in case that we have a negative value, we need the text to turn to red, all right? If the number is in negative. Once you adjust that, we need 2 decimal places, we need the dollar sign with these values, and then we click OK. Next, now to enter the loan data. So in D5, the item is house. Press the enter key. Now D5, we have to go back to D5, and then we have to align it to the right, the house that we typed. So you will go to alignment, the group that says alignment, and then you will click on align right. Next, in D6, we have to write the price of the house for 29,000, and then press the enter key. That's the price for the house. Next, we have to put the down payment, 85,000. Then in D8, D8 is what we have to find later on. So we have to go to E, F4. In F4, we have to write down the rate. What's the interest rate? 4.125%. Now, if your percentage move to a 2 decimal place, instead of having 4.125, now it says 4.13. It rounded the decimal, right? So what you need is you will go back to the number group, and you see these zeros here we have is increased decimal, and this second one is to decrease. So in this case, we want to increase. So when you hit it, you see I click this is increase the decimal. Now I have 3 decimal places after the 4. So by default, Excel will convert it to only 2 decimal, but if you want to change it back to 3 decimal, you will just go to the number group in the ribbon under the home tab. You will click increase decimal. Next is to go to C5. We need to go to F5, and we have to type the terms for 30 months, 60 months, 72. So 15 is the term of the loan. So 15 is the number of years, right? So in F5, we said the term, which is the number of years, is 15. Next, we have to create the name based on the row titles. Now, why do we need to create name based on the row title? Naming a cell that you plan to reference in a formula helps make the formula easier to read and remember, right? So, for example, if you're gonna say, for example, if I don't give it a name to my formula, so what's gonna happen then? I will say, okay, my loan will be equal the price minus the down payment that I have given, and then I press the enter key. It said that's the loan amount that I have to pay in these 15 years, right? So the problem here is that sometimes I don't know what is D6, what is D7, but when you're gonna give it a good name, then it's gonna I will understand what the formula is all about. And instead of saying D6, I will say price minus, instead of saying D7, I will say down payment. So it's easy to read the formula, right? So first, to do this, we have to name the cells, right? So I will go back and delete the formula. So what we want to do now, to select the names, I have to select C6 all the way to D8. Now we want to go to the formula tab, and then the second group under the ribbon under the formula tab is define names. So because we already have selected the cells, you will go to create from selection. We already selected the cell, so I will click on create from selection. Once you click create from selection, you will get the create names from selection dialog box, and then be sure that you wanna copy the values in the left. So in this case, the D6, D7, D8. In the left of this cell is what? Price, down payment, loan amount. That's what the name I want to give it to my selected cells. So that's why I said left column. create the name from the value in the left hand side, which is this. So I will click OK. And then I will click OK. Now let's go back and find out because I got an error. So let's do it again. Obviously, we have to select C6 all the way to D8. Mistakenly, what I did was I selected this only. So obviously we need to select the cell that has the name too. So this is what you need to select. Go to the create from selection, choose the left column. Whatever in the left, that will be the name for the right hand side. Click OK. Now it works. Why I had the error message? Because I did not selected the cell 6, C6, C7, C8. I did not select it. I just selected the D6 all the way to D8. All right. Next, we need to select E4 all the way to F8. Once you have done this, so we want to name F4, F5, F6, F7, F8, F8 by the name in the left hand side. So these cells will be given these names, right? So once you have selected it, you will go back to the formulas tab. Then in the ribbon that says define name, click on create from selection, choose the left column. So create names from the values in the left hand side. So I will click OK. Now, if I click anywhere, I will see now in my name box, see what it says. It says monthly payment. Now this cell, instead of being F7, is now what? Total interest. If I go down to D8, now the name box says that this cell is loan underscore amount. If I go a little bit up here, it says this will be the price, this will be the down payment, this is the terms. If you look here, it says term, this will be the rate. See, you named it now. So you don't need to refer them by the cell reference like F6, F7, F8, D8. You don't need to put them like that in your formula. So now we need to enter the formula for the loan. We want to find out what will be the loan amount. So once you have created the names, you can use them instead of the cell references in a formula. So to do that, you will start with an equal, and then you will type P. As soon as you type P, you have to scroll, and then you will see the cell that you named it as price. So you will double click it. Now minus, try to type D. Now check your down payment, the cell that you named it. As you see here, I have down payment. Double click it. So now the formula tells me that you have something in the price minus the down payment. That should give us what? The loan amount. So press the enter key. So instead of saying equal D6 minus D7, you have named it the cell with the names that you could understand the formula. So it's very benefit of naming your cells instead of using cell references. Now press the enter key. So I got the loan amount. Now, the next thing that we have is what we call the function PMT. The PMT function calculate the payment for a loan based on a constant payment and a constant interest rate. So the PMT function calculates the payment for a loan based on a constant payment and a constant interest rate. So obviously the PMT, when you use the formula PMT, you will be asked only 3 arguments. You have to provide 3 things to the formula. One is the rate, then comma, then the period means the terms. So periods, and then the loan amount. So that's what you need to have to execute the PMT function. So in this case, we're gonna use the formula that PMT, the rate is, you will say whatever the rate is, which is the 4.125 divided by 12 because we want to get the rate for 12 months. And then comma, then 12 month multiplied by the term. The term is what? 15. Is it 15? Then comma, and then the loan amount. The loan amount will be the last to mention in your formula. All right. So that's how we use the PMT. Now we will have to put the negative before the PMT function. Why? Because your formula will be in negative because you are paying, right? So we have to make whatever the value in negative has to be converted to a positive. So the value in negative, and then you have a negative from the outside. So negative, negative, that become what? Positive. So let's do it. So I will go to the monthly payment, which is F6. F6. You will start with, I'm not going to use the negative. First, I will show you what's going to happen. So equal PM. As you see, the moment I put PM, I got the PMT function. Double click it. Now you see I have to provide these arguments. So the rate is in dark. That's why first we have to put the rate. So the rate is, you will select the F4, which is this rate, divided by 12, comma. Then you're gonna say 12 multiply by the 15 years term that we have. So now you see, instead of getting F7 or F5, I'm getting the name of the 15, which is terms. Then comma, and then you have to provide the constant payment of the loan, which is this. Now you see the PV is in dark. That's what you need to provide. The other arguments are optional. So just close the parenthesis. Now press the enter key. As you see that my monthly payment comes with a red. Remember last step we said if we get any negative value, they should turn to a red color. And that's what happened now. So we need to change the red to a black color, like a negative, that will be positive. So you will go back to F6. You will double click the cell to find us the range finder, double click it. Then you will go to the left of the P, you will add the negative. Once you add the negative, whatever the negative you got in the formula, negative and negative, that will convert it to a positive. So now, instead of having red, I will get it in a normal black color. Now the next is to find out the interest rate. All right. Now for the interest rate is that we have to use the formula. Is gonna be is gonna be actually a 12-month multiplied by the term, which is the 15 years, multiplied by your monthly payment, then minus the loan amount. That should give us, or that should determine the total interest. Now I am in F7, and then you will always start the form with equal 12 multiply by the term multiply by the monthly payment minus the loan amount, and then press the enter key to determine the total interest. So that will be the total interest that you're gonna pay in these 15 years. Now we wanna find out the total cost. How much the house will cost us at the end of the 15 years. So that will be equal price of the house plus the total interest. That will determine the total cost. So the house that you bought with 429,000 at the end of 15 years, that's how much the house is gonna cost you. All right. Now the book says you already got the calculator. Now you can change the item to different items, like you can do a car payment, you can do anything you want. So we're gonna do any condo to see how much that will be. So I'm gonna change the house from house. I deleted it, and then I will say condominium. Then what's the condo amount, the price? As you see, I'm changing it. And then in D7, the down payment is 45,000. And the rate that we received is 3.625%. All right. And then the term, how many years? For 10 years. So if you look like, if you bought the condo with this amount here, and then the loan amount is gonna be this, and then the interest rate for the condo is 3.625. The terms is only 10 years, as you see here. And then the monthly payment will be 1,401 and 57 cents. That's the interest you will have to pay, and at the end of the 10 years period, this is how much it's gonna cost you your condo. Now, the book says we have to get it back to what it was. So we have to go back to the home, and then we have to press the undo so that we're gonna get it back to the home. So keep pressing the undo. As you see, it's changing back to what it was. So we get it back to home. Now, the next thing is using data table to analyze the worksheet data. Now, the problem that I got here with my calculator is that every time I want to check anything, I have to delete the item. I have to delete the price of that item. And then I have to also change the down payment. And then also I have to change the interest. Now, if I want to go back to my previous house instead of the condo or the townhouse, then obviously what I will do is I will do undo. So I might not remember actually what was the monthly payment will be for the rate that I got for the townhouse, for example. So every time I have to either undo and redo to see what's going on with the different rates, right? So that it will be very cumbersome. You have to go back and forth. So there should be something that you can look at it with the different rates and what will be my total interest I have to pay with that specific rate, and what will be the monthly payment if I receive that interest rate, and what will be the total cost and the total interest with that specific rate. So the book says you have already have seen that if you change the value in a cell, Excel quickly recalculate any formula that reference the cell directly or indirectly. But what if you want to compare the results of the formula for several different values? I cannot do it now with this mortgage payment calculator I have. I cannot do a comparison. So I have to go back and forth, right? Writing down or trying to remember all the answer to the what if questions will be cumbersome. If you use a data table, however, Excel will organize the answer in a worksheet for you. So a data table is a range of cells that shows answers generated by formulas in which different values have been substituted. Data table must be built in an unused area of the worksheet. So when you want to create the data table has to be created in an empty unused area of your worksheet. All right. So with a one input data table, you can vary the value in one cell. Excel calculate the result of one or more formulas and fill up the data table with the results as I'm going to show you. So to do the data table, the first thing is that we have to go to C. We will go to 10 row C10, right? And then C9. In C9 we're gonna type varying interest or rate schedule, as this will be the data table section title. Press the enter key. Now we want to select the formation of C3. So you will select the C3, and then you will go to the home tab. The first group is the clipboard. You will double click the format painter. As you see, it's flashing now. You selected it. And then I will go to C9 and I will click the cell C9. As you see that I copied the mortgage calculator payment formation to the varying interest rate schedule. Now, to get rid of the flashing or the selected cell, you have to press the escape key. Now, the escape key is this one, is in your keyboard. You can't miss it. So the escape key is used to remove the highlight or to remove the feature of the command that you have used. Now we need to go to C10 and we have to write down rate. Then we have to type monthly payment. Then we have to type in E10, we have to say total interest, and then the last cell, which is F10, we have to type the total cost, right? So that will be our data table. Now from the table, I will check the different rates and with my monthly payment, the total interest, and the total cost. So in this case, what we want to do is we have to go to row number 9, and then we have to drag it the height to 20. So now is 23. So we have to make it 20.25. As you see, it shrinked it down. Now we need to point to the column 10, the row 10, and we have to drag it to 17.25. Now it's 14s. So 1725, which is 23 pixels. Now we have to click C12. Now we have to create the percentage series using the fill handle. The next is to create percentage series using the fill handle. These percentages will serve as the input data for the blank for the data table. So these percentages will serve as the input data for the data table. So to do that, in C12, I'm gonna type 3.0%. That's the input. And then we need 3 decimal place. So we have 2. I will go back to the number group. I will increase one more decimal. So 3.00. Next, we will type the next one will be in C13, 3.125%. Now this one also we have to increase the decimal place only 1, so it become 3.125. Now we need to fill it down until C22. So select the first and the second. We will use the fill handle, the small square box. You see I have a square box. Move your cursor over it until you see a teeny plus sign. Hold the left key of your mouse and drag it until 22, row number 22. Now release your finger from the left key. As you see now, we get the percentage series. So we have 3.00, and then the last I can go is 4.250%. Next, we wanna have the monthly payment. So the monthly payment in D11, what we need is we will copy the F6, whatever F6 monthly payment that we had, we will copy in D11. To do that, you will say the D11 should be equal to F6. F6 is what? Your monthly payment. So I'm just copying the 2,566 and 13. Push or press the enter key. Now we can shrink down these decimal places. All right. Next, now we need the total interest. We will copy whatever in F7 to E11. To do that, you will press equal, and then either you can just click the F7 for the total interest, or you could say F7 and push the enter key. Next, we need the total cost, which is this one. So you will say equal F8. F8. And then you will press the enter key. So just we are copying the previous values in D11, E11, and F11 instead of typing them manually. Now we have to define the range as a data table. After creating the interest rate series in column C and entering the formula in row 11, the next step is to define the range from C11 all the way to F22 as your data table. So we have to highlight the cell C11 all the way to F22. Once you have selected the range, the next thing is we have to go to the data tab. You will go to the second last group, which is forecast. You will click the what if analysis drop down, the black down arrow, and then you will see data table. So click on it. Now, once you clicked it, now we need to click, you will get the dialog box for the data table. Is asking us, is your input, is it a row cell? Is it your row is gonna be your input cell, or is it a column? So our column will be the input cell, all right? So in this case, you will select the F4 as you will click on column input cell, and then you will choose F4. And then you will click OK. So now we created the data table. Now, the next thing is, if you think that's too much to read, then we can shrink the decimal places. So highlight D12 all the way to F22, and then go back to the home, go to the number group, and then you have to shrink the decimal place to only 2. So it's going to be easy to read. All right. Now, if you look here now, it's very interesting now. If I had the rate of 4.5, my monthly will be 2,566. That's how much interest will be, and that's how much I will end up with the cost of that house. Now, the good thing with the data table is that I can check. Let's say that you received, your credit is good and you received the interest rate of 3.125%. As you see the difference now, your monthly will come down to 2,396 and 34 cents, and that will be the amount, and then this will be the total cost at the end of the term. So here is a nice table that we have with a different rates, and then also show us what will be our monthly payment, what will be the interest, and what will be the total cost and the interest. Instead of going here, the problem with the calculator that we had is that every time I have to change this, and then I have to play with the rate and the terms, and that will determine my monthly payment, right? But the problem is that how can I remember that? What if I had 3.375? What will be my monthly? What will be the total interest, and what will be the total cost? But with the data table, is straightforward. You can see that what will be my rate, what will be the monthly if I receive different kinds of rates, what will be the total interest, what will be the total cost. So the next one we have to do is creating an amortization schedule. In the right hand side, we're gonna create the amortization schedule. An amortization schedule shows the beginning and the ending balances of a loan and the amount of payment that applies to the principal and interest for each year over the life of the loan, right? So now, for example, if a customer wants to pay off the loan after 6 years, the amortization schedule section will tell the loan officer what the payoff will be. All right. So if I want to finish up my payment before the 15 years, so then what will be the loan, and what will be the beginning loan, and what will be the ending loan, and the amortization will tell us what we need to pay and what will be the end point of paying within the 6 years. So what I'm gonna show you now is what we call the amortization schedule. All right, a schedule. So the amortization schedule shows the beginning and the ending balance of a loan and the amount of payment that applies to the principal and interest for each year over the life of the loan. For example, now if a customer wants to pay off the loan after 6 years, the amortization schedule section will tell the loan officer what the payoff will be. All right. So now we're gonna create the amortization schedule section. Also will contain summaries about your schedules, right? So to do that, we will have to go now to column G. We have to select column G, and we have to drag it to the left until it comes 0.92. Now it's 8, so we have to change it to 0.92. So we have to shrink it down. 0.92, which is equivalent to 12 pixels. Next, now we have to go to the edge, and we have to drag it to the left until it turns to 6. Now it's 8.38. 6 inches, which is equal to 53 pixels to change the column H width. Now the I all the way to L, you have to hold the shift and select L. Now this one we have to change it to 16. So you can drag any one of these. 16 means 133 pixels. So equally they are converted to 16. Now H3, we have to write the amortization schedule. All right. Now we have to select the C3, the formation. So double click the format painter, double click it. Now let's go to C3 and we double clicked it. Now we have to select H3. So we get the formation copied. Now you can select the format painter to stop the feature of the format painter, or you could press the escape key. So what we want to do now, because we want to merge from H3 to L3, right? Now to do that, we will have to select H3 all the way to L3. Then we have to go back to the home tab. And then you see it's already merged, but we have to select the merge and center. And then we have to do it again because we have to include the L, right? The L3. So once we have created the amortization schedule. Now we have to enter the column heading in row 4, right? And then in H4, we're gonna say year. In H4, then in I4, we will say beginning balance. In J4, In J4, I will say ending balance. Now in K4, we will say paid on principal. And then in L4, we will say interest paid. All right. And we have to align them in the center. So highlight, go to the alignment group on the ribbon and press or click on center. Next, now we have to select H5 and then we're gonna type 1. That's the initial year 1, the first year. And then in S6, we were gonna do 2. Then we have, because we have 15 years, remember? So we have to go to 15. So highlight these two and then hold the fill handle and all the way to 15. As you see, the screen tip is telling me what the sale value will be, 15. So that's the 15 years. As you had it here, 15 years. So you have 15 years. So if you have 30 years or whatever, so you can keep on filling until it get to whatever the year is. How many years? So next, now we have to use formulas in the amortization schedule. So the first formula in your I5 will be the beginning balance. What's the beginning balance? So the beginning balance is actually your loan amount, which is the $344,000, right? So that will be our beginning balance. So instead of typing this $344,000 manually, what I will do is that I will say equal D8. So whatever in D8, I will be giving to the beginning balance, which is I5. As you see, whatever I had in D8 is equivalent to the beginning balance. Now the ending balance, we have to use the if condition. So the ending balance, which is the balance at the end of a year, is equal to the present value of the payment paid over the remaining life of the loan. So now we're gonna type the formula. We will start with equal and then we're gonna say if. So double click the if. So first is your logical, what you are checking here. What's your logical test? So we are saying that if H5 is year 1, if the year 1 is less than equal, we are checking now the term F5, all right? Or we could just say F5 and then we have to make it absolute. So you have to press F4 to make it absolute. You will press F4. Why we make a cell absolute? Because I don't want the cell to keep on changing while I will copy the value to the rest of the cells, right? So to make it absolute, you will press F4 from your keyboard. As you see, I got the dollar sign with it. So my check is that if H5, which is the year one, less than equal the term in F5, in this case is 15. So is 1 less than 15? Yes, 1 is less than 15, okay? If it's true, then what? So then we have to use the present value. There's another function, PV. The PV returns the present value of an investment, the total amount that a series of future payment is worth now. So the present value, you will double click it. So if the year one is less than the term 15 years, which is 1 is less than 15, then the present value, which is in F4, which is the rate. So F4, you have to make it absolute. So press the F4. Divided by 12. So we are dividing the interest rate by 12 month, comma. The next is the number of period, the terms. See, it's dark now. So that will be 12 month multiplied, open a parenthesis, F5, which is the 15 years, F5, we have to make the F5 absolute, F4, minus H5, the year one. And then close the parenthesis. And then comma, what is the payment? The payment, that will be the payment, which is in F6, the monthly payment, the 2,566. So we will say minus, and then F6. Now you have to make the F6 absolute. So press the function F4 and then close the parenthesis. So that ends our present value formula. Now next is otherwise. We said if the year one is less than equal the year 15, which is not. So 1 is less than 15. If it's true, then find for us the present value. Otherwise, give me 0 if it's false. And close the parenthesis for the if. Now press the enter key. That should give us the ending balance. So that's the ending balance of the loan. Next is to find paid on principal. How much I paid on the principal. So equal I5 minus J5. So the beginning balance minus the ending balance, that should give us how much I paid on the principal of the house I bought. So that's how much I paid the first year. Now we need to find the interest rate. Equal, if, you will double click the if from the shortcut menu. Now the interest paid during the year is equal to 12 months the monthly payment, and then we have to minus the amount paid on the principal. So if your logical test is what? If I5, which is the beginning balance, is greater 0, which is greater than 0. So if the beginning balance is greater than 0, then if it's true, then 12 month multiply by F6. F6 is what? Is your monthly payment. So F6, you have to press the F4 to make it absolute, minus K5. K5 is the paid on principal. Otherwise, if it's false, if the value is false, then give me 0 and close the parenthesis. So in this formula to find the interest paid, we said if the I5, which is the beginning balance, the 344,000, greater 0, which is greater is true, then 12 month multiply by the monthly payment in F6 minus the paid on principal, and then if it's false, then give us 0. So let's press the enter key. So this is the amount. Now everything look perfect. So what we want to do, we want the next is to select, to copy the formula to fill the amortization schedule. With the formula entered into the first row, the next step is to copy them to the remaining rows in the amortization schedule. So to do that, I will select the J, which is the ending J5, all the way to L5, and then hold the small square box and fill it down until the 15 years. All right. Now, the zeros in column L are result of an empty cell in column I, because see, I don't have anything in here, right? So what you need to do now next is in I6, you will say equal J5. So now for the second year, my beginning balance for second year will be the ending balance, right? So I said equal J5. All right. Then we will fill it down. Now everything look perfect. All right. So here it tells us after 6 years, if you want to pay off, that's how much will be the interest paid. That will be paid on principal. This will be the ending balance, and that's the beginning balance. Next is to enter the total formulas in the amortization schedule. Now we have to go to J20, 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 and we have to say subtotal, and then we have to select, we have to use the sum function to give us from K20 to L. So we want to do K20 to L20, and then we will go to the editing, and then you will see the auto sum, and then we want to sum it. So that sums the K and the L columns. Next, now we have to go to J21, and we have to say down payment, and that will be equal D7, the down payment that you paid in D7. We copied the down payment to the selected cell. J22, we will say total cost. So in L, in L22. So obviously the down payment should be not here, it should be here. So equal D7. Now I'm in L22. The formula is equal K20 plus L20 plus L21. So that will be the total cost. All right. Now, if you pay attention here, this amount here in your amortization schedule, the total cost is equal to this guy here. See? Everything is similar. And then if you look at your data table here, the same amount is here. So here now it's telling me that the total cost will be this, this, and all this. Next is to format the amortization numbers. All right. So to format the numbers in the amortization schedule, in I5, and then we will do right click. So we will select this guy here, the format painter. I will copy this or double click it, and then select J5, 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 all the way to L5. And then we have to press the escape key. Next, we have to select I6 all the way to L19. L19. And then we have to do a right click, format cells. We have to select number under the category, first number tab, then category. Then we want currency, and then we don't want the dollar sign, so none. And then we have, if we had any negative, they should turn to red. And then let's click OK. Now we have to format the worksheet. Now we need to add a custom border to the range. Borders can be used to distinguish the different financial parts of your worksheet. So to do that, we need to select C4 all the way to F8. And then we have to right click, and then you will see the mini toolbar. And then we have format cells. The format cell dialog box is gonna open up. Click the tab that says border because we want to put a border. And then we want to select the style of the line. So that will be this medium. And then we will go to the color and we want blue accent 2. Blue accent 2. And then we want to have an outline. The preset will be outline. And then we have to click OK. Now, the next thing we want to do is we will go back. So you can go to the format cell through the alignment, clicking the small gray down arrow, go to the border, and then we can also select this one here, and then we will have the line like this, or you can take it off. You can click it like from here, this button, to get the vertical line button, and then click OK. Now click anywhere to see what you did. So here now we have the border. Now to add a border to the varying interest rate schedule, now we need to add a border for this one. To do that, we have to select C10 all the way to F22. And then we will do right click, format cells. We will go to border tab from the format cell dialog box. And then we will select the blue accent 2. Then we have to choose this one. The style will be this, which is the medium border. And then we will click the outline under the preset. Under the preset, we clicked the outline. Then the next one we need is that click column number 1 and row 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So this one here, the lighter one. And then we have to select the vertical and then click OK. That's what we have. Now we have to add border to the amortization schedule. So we have to go with H4, H4, all the way to L22. After we selected H4 all the way to L22, then we will do the same thing. You will do right click format cell, or I can go through the ribbon alignment. I can click the small gray down arrow. I can go to the border, and then we need to have column 7 and this one here, and then we need to have the color blue. Click the outline. So we need the medium first, and then we have to select, and then we have to make it the lighter. And then click OK. So we will select this one again, right click, format cell. Okay, everything look perfect. All right. Now the next thing is that I noticed that they have also the underneath here. So right click, format cell, and then you need to have, click OK. As you see, we put this box here. Now the next thing we need to do, we will do this for this one. You will select H4 all the way to L4. You will do right click, format cells. You will click here. All right. Now we have to select to use the border and fill color to visually define and group the financial tools. So we have to select row 23. And we have to change the size to 9. All right. Next, we have to select the column M. We have to adjust the size to 0.92. Now, before we finish up with this, we also need to have a box. like this. We will do right click, format, and we're gonna have a bottom box. Then we will go back and then right click, format cells, and then we will select this. Then we have the vertical. So everything look perfect. Now we have to select B2 all the way to M23. Now we will do right click, format cells. We want to have the color green SN5, and then we need in column 2 number 6 the thick one, this one, and then click the outline from the preset. The next is with the range B20 B2 all the way to is selected, we need to click on fill, and then we have to apply, we have to go to fill, and we need to select white, and then click OK. As you see, we have given the white background. Also, you can do it from here. So you can select B2. You go to the font. You can select the fill, and then you can select white. There you go. Save. You will go to the top in the green in the top right and click save. Now the next is to highlight the cell in a data table using conditional formatting. To add a pointer to the data table using conditional formatting. To make the row with the active interest rate stand out, you can add formatting that serve as a pointer to that row. So to do that, we have to select C12 all the way to C22. And then we have to go to the ribbon under the Home tab, the Style group, and then Conditional Formatting. And then you will go to Highlight Cell, and then you will click on Equal to, and then you will choose Format the cell that equal to. So you will put equal F4 and make it absolute with F4. And then if you want to change the color, you can do so. So I will say, okay. As you see now, the 4.125 is to stand out to show us that this is the interest rate that we received or we got. So that's to make the row with the active interest rate stand out. That's our active. If you look here, it says 4.125 that we got. And that's in the data table. I want to make it something to stand out to show me that this is my interest, 4.125. Next, F4. We have to select the F4. And we will change this to 4.000. As you see now, it highlighted 4 because that's the active interest rate. If you look here, I changed it to 4%. And if you look in your data, also changes to 4.00. So that stand out to show you that this is what the interest rate I received. All right. Next. Now I have to change it back to what it was. So I will go back to the quick launch toolbar and I will click the undo. So 1.125. We get it the schedule back to what it was, 4.125. Now the thing is that if you want to enter a new loan data, for example, that you want to buy instead of a house, you want to buy land, for example. So type the item is $125,000 is worth of the land, and then 30,000 is the down payment, and then the rate that we received is 3.625, and then the term for 7 years. As you see now, my amortization schedule also changed because only I have 7 years to pay off the land loan. And here the data table also shows me that I received the 3.625, the interest rate. So now we're gonna do undo again to change it back to home. So we have all the data in place. The next is to print section of a worksheet. So to set up a worksheet to print, specify the print option allow you to conserve paper and toner and customize the layout of your worksheet on the printed page. Now, sometimes we don't want to print everything. I want to save a paper and just I want to print a specific area of my worksheet. So to do that, if you go to file first, go to page layout, and then we can go to page. We have page setup, and then we have print area, and then you can set the area you want. Or we can click here the page setup, and then we get the page setup dialog box after clicking this gray down arrow. And then the tab is page, is portrait, and we want to fit it to one page. And then click the next tab is margin, and then we have the sheets. In the sheet, we wanna preserve some of our ink toner, so I will say black and white. And then I can also print preview from here, and I will just click OK. Next is to set the print area. Why do we need to set a print area? Is that if you do not need to print the entire worksheet, setting the print area allow you to easily to specify the section you want to print. So if I wanna only print specific area, like I wanna print the amortization schedule or the data table or the mortgage calculator, so I can just print that specific area. So to do that, let's select C3 all the way to F8. Then we have to go to page layout. Then the second group under the ribbon is page setup. Click on print area button, and then click on set print area. So we clicked it, right? Next, now we will go to file, and we are in the backstage now, and then click print, and that will be the area that we want to print, because that's what I want. Print the active. So that is my active area I want to print. So the next is, so if you want to print the whole thing, then we have to clear the print area one, and then we can set the entire sheet, but still we have to delete the print area command. So to do that, you will go back here, you will go back to the print area, and then you will click on clear print area. Now I will go to file, print. Now I can see everything in here. All right, we'll click back. Next, to name and print section of a worksheet. Why do we need to name and print sections of a worksheet? If you regularly are going to print a particular section of a worksheet, naming the section allow you to specify that section whenever you need to print it. So to do that, what I will do is I will name those areas. So I will select C3 all the way to F8. And then in the name box, I will call these as mortgage underscore payment, and push the enter key. So I named from C3. Now if I select C3 all the way this, the name is now, if you look at the name box, is monthly payment. Now C9 all the way to F22. Then I will go here in the name box, and I will say this is my interest schedule, and push the enter key. So let's do it again. Next, we have to select H3 all the way to L22. And then we will go to the name box. And then we have to change these to financial underscore tools. Press the enter key. So now we named it. Now just click anywhere in the empty. Now click the mortgage payment. Mortgage payment. We selected the mortgage payment from the name box. And then we will go to file. We are in the backstage. And we will say print. And then we will go here and say print selection. That's what I selected. All right. Now next, if I want to go back and I want to print only the amortization schedule, I will go here and I will give me my financial tools. I will go to file, print. It's gonna print only the amortization schedule. All right. Now the next thing is protecting and hiding the worksheet and workbook. So how to protect and hide worksheet and workbook? To protect the worksheet, why do we need to protect is protecting a worksheet allow you to determine which cells a user can modify. Sometimes I don't want the user to keep on messing with my data table, the amortization, only specific area in my cell. That's where I need the user to change, but the rest will remain constant. Like I don't want them to change it. So to do that, I will allow them to change the item, the payment, and the down payment. And then also I can allow them to change the interest rate or the term, but the monthly and all this other stuff has to be what protected. So to do that, we have to select D5 all the way to D7, hold the control key, select F4 all the way to F5. These are the areas that I want the user to change it, but other than these cells, I don't want the other cells to be modified or changed to avoid, people changing the numbers. So once we select it, we will do right click. I will go, you can right click any of the selected cell until you see the shortcut menu. Click format cells. The format cell dialog box is going to show up. The last tab is protection. And then I want you to remove the unlock. So we have to remove the lock to remove the check mark from the locked. So click OK. All right. Now click anywhere and then let's click on to protect the sheet. Now we will go to review. Then under the second last group is protect group. You will click protect sheet. And then we need to verify that protect worksheet and and content of log cell checkbox. So selected cell, and this one is also been protected, and then click OK. Now save your workbook. Now I will go here to change it. I cannot do anything. It says protected. I cannot do anything in here too. Here, I cannot do anything. The only place that I can do is that I can change this. Let's say land. The price is 150,000. Down payment 10,000. Interest rate 4%, for 10 years. So this is monthly. My interest rate indicate that 4% I have received. And you see, but the other ones I cannot change it. It's been protected. Yeah, right. Now to remove the protection, first of all, you see under the review, protect, you will say unprotect. So now the sheet is unprotect. All right. So let's try if I can change something here. See, it messed up. So undo. Right now, I can change any of the stuff I want. So I can change this. So I cannot change the data table. All right. So the next is to how to hide and unhide the worksheet. So to do that, we need to add a new sheet. So click on the plus sign to add a new sheet. Now I will go back to my mortgage payment calculator tab, right click on it and hide. So now is hidden. Now to unhide, you will have to right click on the sheet number 2, and then you will click on unhide. It's gonna ask you, is that what you wanna unhide? I will say yes, okay. Now I can see my worksheet. So if you want to check your formula, and if there is any error to your formula, then the color you want the error to indicate. So you will go to file, option is the last, and then you will go to formulas, indicate the error using this color. So if there is any error in the formula, you can change to whatever color you want. By default, it's gonna be like green. All right. And that's end chapter number 4. Have a nice day.